Hello, in this video, I'm going to give you some journaling guidelines. So if you're a beginner at journaling and you kind of want a framework of the guidelines, or whether, you might be a journal lover, a journal addict, you've been doing this for years, and you might just be curious, maybe there's something that you didn't know that might help your journaling practice. So let's get on with it. So the first one is you can use whichever style works for you. So there's pen and a loose piece of paper, and that comes in with the printables. Like if you want to just print certain journal pages off of, like the ones that you buy on Etsy, such as like the ones that I sell in my Etsy shop, that's an option for you. And the benefit of that is that you can put them wherever you want. You can use them with a clipboard. You can store them in a folder. You can they're more portable. You can take them with you. You can, rearrange them into a binder. So that's, and also a benefit to those is they're very inexpensive. You can buy some journal pages that are, the loose leaf, just a couple pages for dollars. Like it's not that expensive, and you can, mix it up, buy different ones, different styles, and mix them all together. You can kind of make your own custom journal binder in that sense. And that's one of the reasons why I love making journal papers, printable journal pages on my Etsy shop. And then you can also buy a journal, a hardcover, actual physical book journal. That's my personal favorite. I mean, as much as I love the printables that I make, I still prefer having a journal with the spiral bound because you can, obviously, spiral bound is amazing because you can flip open the front and hold it on any page you want, and you have a solid, hard writing surface. So that's the benefits of physical journal books. And also you can store them really easily, all in one place. You can put them on a bookshelf and they just look more organized. And then of course, you might be the digital person where you want to do it on your computer, which is great too, because if you're a fast typer, sometimes you can type things faster than you can write them. I know I'm that way, and that's one of the reasons why I love, I love typing, so I've always done stuff like that on a computer as well. So if you're the kind of person that gets a sore hand from writing, then you can do digital. And the benefit to that is there's no stuff sitting around. So if you're a minimalist and you don't want to have piles of journals and stuff, you can get it all on your computer. I would just highly advise that you save your work regularly because that's the last thing you want is to have your computer crash and then you have no access to all of your stuff. But on the other hand, you could, and this sounds depressing and morbid, but you could lose your stuff in a fire. You could lose everything you own, and then you don't have that no more. Or somebody could steal it. It could get wet. Just I guess there's a lot of things that could happen to anything. So don't let that um, deter you from doing either of these methods. There's just options for whichever one would work the best for you. All right, so moving on to the next guideline, we've got trying different types of journals. So there's multiple different types of journaling you can do, and I made a video on this before, so I will link to that so you can check that out too. So I'm not going to go too far into detail with different types of journals, but it's one of the guidelines that you should do different kinds because it'll help kind of, it'll help your brain stretch and it'll help you learn different things and get all of the benefits out of all the different types of journaling. So the next one is do it in the first thing in the morning and the last thing at night. And if you want, you can only do one of these. Sometimes I just do it at night. In fact, I always do it at night and I do it right before bed. I'm right before I fall asleep actually. I'm already in bed. I just put it on my clipboard and right before I actually lay down. And you might be one of those people that likes to do it first thing in the morning because that's when your mind is it's it's calmer, your actual mind is calmer, which lets your intuition come through, it lets your higher self come through. And the morning is a great time to do automatic writing, which is another form of journaling where you are just So in the calm state of mind, the alpha state, right after you just wake up. And so then what happens is your higher self can come through. You can get messages from the universe or whatever you want to call it. Those are some great times to journal as well for that reason. So there's different benefits for doing it in the morning and at night. If you can, I would advise to do it both morning and night. But if you can't, then one will be just fine. And I would advise to try both at least once. I mean, just do morning journaling, a little bit and see how that goes for you. If you can only do one though, I would probably lean more towards the nighttime one. And the reason for that is because right before you fall asleep, it's you're kind of imprinting your mind with thoughts and images and feelings. And the last thing you want is to have a cluster of crazy racing emotions and thoughts going through your mind because you didn't process them. And so that's why I think writing in a journal right before you fall asleep is one of the most therapeutic things you can do because you're processing all the information. You're kind of helping your brain in that sense. You're helping to process everything so that your brain doesn't have to do it while you're sleeping. And that allows for better sleep, of course. All right, so the next guideline is to minimize distractions. So I would, you know, make this a goal to be the journaling is your thing. Like that's what you're doing at that moment. Don't journal while you're doing anything else. Don't journal while you're getting ready for work. Like to minimize distractions also means to maybe turn the lights down and have a candle or one of those. I like those little clips that has a orange light bulb in it. It's to wear on to not wear, but it's to put onto your book before when you're in bed reading. And I use that when I'm journaling, and so that it minimizes all of the rest of my room, and I'm only focused on my journal page that's right in front of me. So that's a good thing that you can do, and try to journal when there's nobody around, which might be hard. You might be married and share a bed with someone, or you might have children running all over the place. And so find that time where you are alone. And like I said, if you can't journal in the morning and the night for those reasons, maybe the only time you can be alone is on in the bathroom at work. And make that work for you. Bring a pocket-sized journal and do it then if you have to. So there's a lot of ways to sneak it into your day. So don't worry about perfection because what you're doing is you're making more of a rough draft than a finished product. This is not going to be something that anybody else is going to read. This is something that you want to get into the flow as the words are coming into you. You want to get them out. So don't worry about if things are spelled right. Don't worry about run-on sentences. For sure, don't worry about that. I've had plenty of run-on sentences when I'm journaling because it's just coming out so fast and I have to get it down before I lose it. So don't worry about perfection. Keep your journals and reread older ones. This is one of the ways we grow. Why would you have journals if you're not going to learn from them? And, you know, if you can see where you were at one point and see where you are now, then you can recognize the growth that's happened. So that's another reason why journals are so amazing and why they're so helpful and beneficial to our growth because they give us that window to our past. And your memory is not perfect. People's memories, this is a crazy thing that I recently learned, but people's memories don't remember things the way that they happened. Because if you ask 5 people how something happened, they're all going to tell you a different perspective, different story. So by reading your old journals, you will see exactly where your mind was in the past. It'll see where you were at that moment in time with nothing distorting it. That's what you wrote and that's how you were, and then you can, another benefit of reading your old journals is that you can think, wow, I really thought that, or oh my gosh, I can't believe that's how I was, and that's when you know that you've grown. All right, so write something every single day, whether or not it's a short entry or a long entry. This is important because consistency is key when it comes to building habits. And, you don't want to miss a day because there's always something about every single day that you're going to want to write down. So they like to recommend 15 minutes, give or take a few minutes. That's a great length of time. I usually write probably maybe more close to a half an hour when I do my journaling, but I do lots of different kinds. I do gratitude journaling, I do manifestation journaling, I do a brain dump, I do just like different times of the day I do different things. So total, I probably do it for a half an hour, maybe even an hour. But if you are busy, if you can't, write something, even if it's a sentence. So that's better than nothing. Keep it simple. So this is more of a tip for beginners. If you don't know what to write, then just write the day's activity and your thoughts and feelings because those are probably the most important basic foundations as far as journaling goes. And even the day's activity isn't something that I don't think that's crucial. I just think that if you don't know what to write about, that's going to be a good start because then, like I mentioned in the previous slide, you can go back and read your old journals and remember what you did because that's one of the things that I have found is a nice benefit of journaling. I I write down everything that I did that day, and when I want to remember what day I did something or what happened on that day, that's why I love the journals. So this is, like I said, this is a tip for beginners. If you don't know what to write, just start with those things. And the thoughts and feelings are pretty important. So that's the thing that I would always write down for sure. If you can't do anything else, like I mentioned in the other slide, if you only have time for a minute or two, just write down like your basic thoughts and feelings for the day. Like what was the overall theme of that day? That would be a great help. Also use doodles, drawings, sketches, and stickers. You don't have to limit yourself to words because especially if you're an artist or if you're a creative person or if you even want to become more creative, you can even start a journal that's just drawings, just doodles. Like if you don't know how to put things into words, draw images. That's one of the things that I have done before and it's very helpful. Keep it private. This is one of those things that will help you become more honest and truthful in your journal. If you know that nobody else is going to read it, keep it in a place where you know nobody else is going to look. Of course, if you live alone, you don't have to worry about this unless you don't want to leave it sitting on your end table when people come over, that sort of thing. So make sure, and especially if you do a journal on the computer, make sure that you have the password on your screen when you sign in so that nobody can, if somebody steals your computer or uses your computer or hacks whatever, I don't even know, maybe hackers can get in anyway, but just do whatever you can to keep people out of your stuff. And another tip is if you share a computer with someone or if you are in any way worried that they're going to see something, you can always save your files under a different name. Like don't save it under my journal. I mean that's going to help you, but it's if you really don't want somebody to see what's in there, if you have something extremely secretive, just name it something that you think nobody's ever going to click on. That's a tip for you. Write the date on each journal entry, and optionally, you can write the time and location. So the writing of the date is important because, like I said, when you go back to read these older journals, what good is it going to do if you don't know when you wrote it? So and then that also helps you gauge your growth and see how long it took you to grow. And of course, if you want to remember when you did something, that's the great reason for having the date on the top. And then if you want to, you can do the time and location. I really don't think the time matters too much unless, I mean, if you really want to get technical about it. I don't ever write time and location though, but it is something that some people would probably be interested in. All right, so that is the end of my journaling guidelines video. I hope you got some benefit out of this and you got a little inspiration to get a little more regular with your journaling practice. If you have any other journaling guidelines that you know of that work for you, leave them in the comments. I would love to hear your opinions and your suggestions. And be sure to like this video and subscribe for more journaling videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.